it. Joe Fugate. Oh my God, it's going to be fun. This will be easy. I love this. I love it when it all works out. All right, guys. Best hobby in the world. Somebody give us a countdown, and let's try to get number 81 done. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
What's neat this week? Number 81. It's July 6th. We have people from South Carolina. We have people from Oregon and all the way in between. So sit down with a cup of coffee, and we'll get to you next.
Yeah.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com.
And by Micromark, the small tool specialists. Visit their website and use product code WNTW at www.micromark.com/WNTW. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast / show, number 81, coming to you from the beautiful bluff here in St. Louis, Missouri. And God, what a gorgeous night it was tonight, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was just so beautiful, the sunset. Tonight we've got Daniel Coombs running camera for us. We love it, Daniel. I've got Mike Budde here with me.
Mike Budde.
Budde.
One mic, no waiting.
Sugar Fire. Joshua Barton.
What's up, everybody?
I pulled a tree out of a hat. Campbell Rice. I love you guys. And look who's on the screen with us from way out west, 2 hours away in time zone differentiations, Joe Fugate from Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. He is the editor of that online magazine, arguably the most popular online magazine that people visit on the internet to learn everything you want to know about this great hobby. So, Joe, thank you so much for being with us this evening. And we're going to...
It's good to be here, Ken.
Awesome. Launching right into new news, and I'm going to pick it up from where I left off in Deshler last week with James Wright. He was showing off some beautiful SD40-2s. These are Athearn locomotives. I believe these are in the ready-to-roll line. And the Desert Storm model is absolutely exquisite. I photographed that. They come in United Way and Maersk. Is that how you say that? Maersk. So rock and roll Athearn. James Wright also had a beautiful expose of the brand new Challenger locomotives that are coming out from Broadway Limited. These are Peregrine 3 Challenger locomotives, and they come in the Greyhound paint for Union Pacific with those beautiful elephant ears on the front. It is just one gorgeous locomotive, and I wanted to bring those up last week and didn't get to that. I also want to talk about a locomotive I was supposed to talk about last week on the show, but as you saw the show, we actually didn't have anybody sitting down from Intermountain, so I totally blanked out and forgot, and they're like, hey, you forgot us. So Rock and Roll Intermountain last week showed me off this beautiful brand new Tier 4 locomotive that they've got in their line. It is the Navajo Transitional Energy Company. So this is one of those small railroads where you can work it into an intimate environment and not have to build out your whole basement. So that was something they wanted me to show you, and I just did that. So rock and roll with that. I'll tell you what, Campbell Rice, you came here with something pretty cool that you want to show off to us tonight.
All right, I can start off with it. I've been messing around with a little bit of Photoshop, and I'm currently working on trying to do some backdrop buildings and things. So on a recent trip to Montgomery, Alabama, I saw this building, and I thought, man, that would make a nice backdrop building. So what I did, I took Photoshop and measured it out and skewed the sides in, and we're showing some B-roll here. The first shot is the original photo that I took and has the cars in front of it, and then I went into Photoshop, and the next picture here is after I removed the vehicles. And then next shot here's where I put it on my layout. So I mean, there's so many options you can do with Photoshop. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I went downtown to my local city street and got down on the street and took a picture. And I'm going to incorporate that now into the background of my layout. And real neat here is a B&SF locomotive that one of my friends, Kerry Douglas, did, and that is a model.
That's cool.
Wow.
That is a
he
model.
did on Photoshop, and then an IC locomotive that Kerry Douglas did also. And you don't have to have anything real fancy. Just you get on Photoshop and try and see what you can come up with.
That is beautiful.
Sure, that
God,
looks
both of those
super
shots are
realistic,
awesome,
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing these
the
pictures
fog,
with us. That's
yeah.
art.
So maybe in the future we'll do us a what's
Wow.
neat on how to do this, because it's it's fairly simple to do. It took me. This was my first attempt. It took me maybe 20 minutes to do that building. So
And $300 worth of printer ink.
no, I went to the office store and they printed it for me. So
Did they print it on that foam board for you?
No, they printed it on an actual 11 by 17 paper, and then I got the black foam core board and basically spray glued it onto that, and then took the sharp X-Acto knife and cut it out. So
Super
Came
durable.
out
it's back
great.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably do more in the future, but I mean, if a great time to do that is go out on a Sunday morning when there's no cars there, and when your light conditions are great, and just shoot some buildings and come back and play with them on a rainy day.
Now, I got one question. How do you get that on there so smooth when you use the spray adhesive?
It wasn't hard. I mean, I just put the spray adhesive on the photo and then just laid it down and smoothed it over. It worked perfect. No problem whatsoever.
Not like when you're putting wallpaper up and you
No,
get
no,
all
no.
these wrinkles that's on your head and everything else.
No, it went right on real well.
I'll tell you a trick I like to use, guys, is save yourself like a mayonnaise jar or something. And, after it's been used, then you can take and roll that over your photo, and it'll act like a rolling pin, right? And you
Good idea.
Yeah.
kind of smooth it out. So that can be helpful.
You did a nice job on that.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yep.
Anybody else feel the cat running around the table?
Yeah.
Hey, Stripe. Welcome to the show, Stripe. So something else really interesting in new news. Were you done, Campbell?
I'm done.
In new news that I wanted to cover, and I found this to be a very interesting story after meeting Kevin Rubel and learning so much about the real business of owning real railroads and selling them and buying them and making people's lives just better. I heard that this week, as in fact 2 days ago, the Genesee and Wyoming Inc. company, that's about 16,100 miles of 120 different railroads they've got in this country, in North America, in Europe, and Australia. It has been sold. It has been sold to the Brookfield Infrastructure Company. And it's an incredible transaction. I think it was in the 8 billion range. I didn't write down the number, but it was in the billions of dollars. And the stock price increased greatly that day after the announcement. And it was really interesting in the article that I read about it. Just like when Kevin Rubel sold that railroad, he took care of his employees that were in from the very beginning. The guys that were in the beginning on this for investment value from the very beginning, their investment increased 5,400%.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I don't know, that's awesome. Newsmervatic value or
Yeah.
something. It's amazing. But on the table tonight, we've got these What's Neat cars from valuetrains.com, and Patrick Maltby weathered one of them that we showed off in the show last week. And I asked him, were we supposed to auction that? And he said, no, guys, I want you to run that one on your layout so you can think of me when you're down there. He
Nice.
said he wants to see it in run-bys. But we've got the black car available at valuetrains.com, and the gold car is available. And the special thing about the gold car is it comes in a special box with a decal for your personal space, and also the 100th buyer of the gold car is going to receive a special edition 2-car set that are different from any other ones ever made, and that will be announced on the show after we sell 100.
That's
Pretty
neat.
exciting.
Go ahead and give it a shot. Sugar fire.
So I don't know if anybody's keeping up with the Union Pacific big boy these days, but there's an entire steam schedule on the Union Pacific website. It shows everywhere that they're going to stop, times they're going to stop, and how long they're going to be there. So I believe for us, Chicago is going to be the closest that we're going to get to, and I really
So it's
wanna-
going to be in Chicago.
It's gonna be in
All right.
Chicago,
Everybody Google
so-
that. You can check out the Union Pacific website. They do show the
Yeah,
itinerary.
it shows of all the steam engines.
I'm
but it
probably
looks like
screen capturing it for you right now.
You are.
I know. That's exciting. Are you going to go see it, Joshua?
I definitely am.
Okay.
That's something that, living here in St. Louis and seeing it at the National or the Transportation Museum, growing up with that there the entire time that I've gone there, to see it live and running, and I mean that's a kind of a
Yeah.
dream come true for
Yeah.
me. The only other train that I would ever want to see as much as that would be the the aero
Aero
train.
train.
There you go.
That's what I would have said. Yeah.
You know, and I mean, just same case scenario. I grew up with that train sitting there.
Right.
You know, so that's dear to my heart, along
Yes.
with the big
You,
boys.
you
so.
catch it in Omaha, you could see 2 big boys in one day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's one there.
There's one on static. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely want to see it alive and breathing. You
Yeah.
know, that's something that is near and dear to my heart.
Michael, buddy, last week at this time, we were sitting in the middle of nowhere in this cute little town where I swear I saw Forrest Gump mowing the grass. But how was it? The Spring Creek show, Dave and Deb Zucker,
Right.
great hosts
Yes, they
for
were.
us.
Right.
I mean, that homemade pie, hun, that was awesome pie. What'd you,
So-
just give me tell us how good it was, man.
Well, the trip up there was really nice. We took a little sightseeing trip a couple times. We drove to the base of one of those giant wind turbines
That was
and
cool.
listened to the sound those blades make when they whip around. It's pretty neat. And talking to some farmers and stuff. That's the first time in a long time I've been to rural America, and those people are really some hard-working people.
When we were at the gas station, the farmer looked at us and said, "How are the crops in Missouri?"
Nebraska.
Or
he knew we were coming from Nebraska. The first thing he said was, "How are the crops up there?"
So that's what they talk about out there. It's common.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting as that.
So, how much stuff did you buy? You haven't shown
a
me
bag.
anything at all. yet.
I got a bag full of
All
stuff.
All right,
So-
guys, without further ado, now we're going out to the beautiful state where Joe Fugate lives 2 time zones away. Joe Fugate from Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. Welcome to the show, brother. I know you got some ideas that you wanted to talk about tonight.
Yes. Before we get to that, though, I just want to mention that the NMRA National Convention is in Salt Lake City next week,
Yes.
and we're going to be there.
Good.
And in fact, you will see me. I have 6 clinics that I'm going to be giving, so I will be a busy boy. Most of my clinics are on Wednesday next week. I do have one, I think, Thursday evening. And then, of course, we'll be at the National Train Show, and we'll have a booth there and all that good stuff. So, yeah, if you are anywhere close to Salt Lake, you ought to come say hello.
We are going to have that show live next Saturday night. We will have John Abaticola and our very own Michelle Kempema broadcasting from Salt Lake City live. Then we're going to record that show. So, yeah, Joe, if you get hooked up with those 2, you can get involved in that.
I'll have to make sure and do that. Yeah, in fact, we're also going to do probably a couple of quick little live YouTube videos while we're there, too. So one of the things I'd like to do is if any of our readers have questions, then I'm going to start a thread on the MRH forum, and if you want us to go ask a manufacturer or someone who's displaying there a question, then we'll go do that and try to do that on live video for you, so you can get the immediate feedback. So that should be fun.
That's awesome. A live Q&A.
Yes.
Yes.
Very cool.
So anyway, I do have a couple of fun things to talk about tonight. One of them is low temperature soldering. And, one of the things that we've seen a lot is people talk about how to solder feeders to your track and not melt the ties, right?
Yes, Daniel.
And so here's one of the secrets. One of the secrets, actually, these days is very easy to get low temperature solder. And plastic styrene will melt at 460 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So you can get low temperature solder that's as low as like just a little, like say 270 to 280 degrees for low temperature solder. The one kind that you can get that I've come to really like is soldering paste. And I don't know if you've seen soldering paste, but it's a gray paste, and it comes either in a little tub or you can get it in a syringe. Here's one here. I will show you this picture on my iPad. It's 281 degrees Fahrenheit soldering paste. So I also do some B-roll so you can see that, and I'll put the link. This is on Amazon. This is the link on Amazon for this, and it's like $15. And the cool thing about that is you can like squirt a little blob out, right, and you can put it on your track with a toothpick.
That's
and,
interesting. Yes.
and then hit it with the soldering iron.
Right.
And it'll solder. Now, the one gotcha with soldering paste is it is perishable. What that means is you need to store it in the fridge, and if you do that, it'll last a couple of years. But when you take it out, when you need to solder, you need to take it out of the fridge about a half hour before you're going to use it, right? So you just need to remember to do that.
Come up to temperature.
Yeah. The other thing is that if you don't like the soldering paste, there's also another type of solder. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Tix solder, and it's even lower temperature. It's like 275 degrees.
Okay.
Okay. Tix solder.
Interesting.
And it's regular solder here, but it just comes in a little plastic vial and then little strips instead of a roll like most solder comes. But the cool thing, not only is that really low temperature, but it's also very strong. So it's if you're like soldering turnout points to throw bars, this is great stuff to use because it's extremely strong solder and it's low temperature. So you won't be melting stuff all around too.
Wow.
So the question then is, all right, the solder's low temperature. What do you do to make sure that the soldering iron is low temperature? So here's a soldering iron that's on eBay. It's a temperature controlled soldering iron, $34, and it'll go down to like 190 degrees.
Oh.
Well, that's interesting. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
I always crank mine up as hot as I can go.
Me too.
And you're going the opposite
so
direction.
I have mine here. The image, I think, is a mirror image, so I don't know if you can see that, but I've got mine dialed in at 290.
Right.
And, I
Is
got that. And it's got
battery
an on-off button. How
Good.
many times have you left your soldering iron in the holder and forgot to unplug it, right?
Right.
Well, here it's got an on-off switch. By golly, who would have thought?
Only took
$34 for that.
Yeah.
$34 for a temperature-controlled soldering iron.
Is that battery
That is
operated or is it corded? You plug it in? Oh, okay. I see corded.
Nice.
I didn't see that part. Okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah, and it's my go-to soldering iron now.
How high can you go with that, Joe? Can you use it
You can
with
go
regular
almost
solder?
900 degrees.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Nice.
Gosh,
So-
out on the Garden Railroad, man, the opposite direction is true. You've got to go as high as you can, as quick as you can. So
Yeah.
I literally use a resistance soldering rig set to number 5. I got the old PBL rig, Joe. And when I'm on the Garden Railroad heating up that 250 rail out there, it's instant.
Yeah,
It's just beautiful.
yeah.
It turns white. She solders. It cools off. And I've been out there working this week. I finally got grass seed planted out there. So we'll have the layout running for the RPM meet here in St. Louis 3 weeks from tonight. And we'll be broadcasting a show down here with who knows is going to be here.
Lots.
Well,
and lots.
resistance soldering is certainly a good way to go if you need lots of heat. But
Right.
what's a good resistance soldering unit go for now? About $300
Probably
bottom.
close,
Yeah.
probably close to 5, I would guess,
Yeah.
for something
So,
good. American
They can
Beauty.
be
I saw American
handy to
Beauty
have,
in
but
the Micromark
definitely
catalog.
not cheap.
No, they're not cheap, but boy, you can scratch build anything. And they're in the Micromark catalog. And interesting enough, we've got a tool on the table that Micromark sent to me, and we all read the instructions on how to use this interesting looking pair of pliers, which I'm pretty much going to have to B-roll this whole segment. But it's spring, it's got a spring in it. And what it's designed to do is allow you to get it on the inside of your truck frames on plastic models and remove the wheels by simply spreading the plastic truck frames with this tool. And it really does work, so that when you want to get in there and clean your points with this Micromark tool that they've got called a truck tuner, you can get in there and just roll them out, or especially we take our wheels out when we want to paint them generally, don't we? So this tool is just perfect for that. We tried it. Daniel was working with it. We all gave it a shot on a Bowser caboose tonight, and it's an interesting tool in the Micromark catalog. So be sure to check it out, and in order to get the special What's Neat discount for the show, go to Micromark, www.micromark.com/WNTW. That's the product code that gets you the special What's Neat this week discount. Thank you very much, Micromark, for that. Joe, I'm going to go back out to you because I think there was more you wanted to talk about.
Yes. Also, have you ever struggled with getting particularly steam locomotives to pull enough cars to actually feel like they're doing their job?
Only
I
every
think
time I
a lot
run.
of steam locomotives struggle even to pull 6 cars like up a 2.5% grade. So they're pretty disappointing in pulling power. The diesel models tend to do better. But what do you do with your steamers? You know, you maybe have seen bullfrog snot. Have you seen that, where you paint this rubber stuff around your wheels, but that wears off, plus it's one less wheel picking up the power. So how would you like to be able to increase the pulling power of your locomotives without adding weight to them? That's usually the typical solution, right? Find as much empty space as you can and cram the boiler full of weight, right? And to try to get that locomotive to pull. Well, there's now a way to do it without adding weight. And the secret is called power base.
Okay.
And I'll give you the links to that. But basically what you do is you put these stainless steel plates under your track, okay? And they come, they're like 6 inches long, and they're curved, and they have holes in them so you can put your track feeders through them. And because they're curved, then these 6-inch plates can be put under the track around curves. Okay.
Yes.
And then you put a magnet. It comes with a magnet that you can mount.
What are you?
Oh, no
Show me.
A magnet you can mount. Magnets that you can mount under your locomotive. And what happens is it pulls the locomotive down onto the track like you were pushing down on it with your hand. So it's sort of, right, artificial gravity, right? And it is dramatic. I've seen some demonstrations.
I know. Here's another idea. I know. That's what this show's all about. This is actually a pretty
so
great
I can
idea.
recreate the old Tyco setup where the train went up the wall and around the wall. Yes, let's
You
do
heard
this.
it here first.
That's right.
You know,
oh
I
my goodness.
I took apart one of those once to power my TGV. It went over 400 miles an hour.
See, yeah.
Joe, that's a great idea.
It actually works superbly. You can, they have demo videos on YouTube, and like they've got some locomotives that a locomotive is struggling to pull 6 cars up a 3% grade, and then they put the power base in, and then they ran it up the grade, and it pulled like 30 cars, and they still could have added more cars.
Wow.
They said, but they just stopped there because it made the point.
That's awesome.
So the question is, what's this cost?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's actually surprisingly affordable. The basic pack comes with like 16 feet of those metal plates, those stainless steel plates to put under the track. And it comes with enough to fit 6 locomotives with magnets. And it's like, I can't remember the price right now, but it's like $30, $40, something like that.
Not bad at all.
But I priced my Siskiyou line, which is basically 1,000 square foot layout, and I took all the grades that I would want on the Siskiyou line to put power base on, and it was about $400 to do the whole layout.
That's amazing,
No
Joe.
kidding.
Man, it's so awesome having you here tonight. Before I talk about the Model Railroad, the run-up that we've got and what's neat over there at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, I want to ask you a question. When you built that modular layout that you showed off in Kansas City last year, you had it all set up. You were using the NCE power system on that, Joe. Tell us why.
Absolutely.
Why did
Yes.
why did you pick that for your layout?
Well, let me see if I can make this short, okay? Because I started out actually with the lens system back in 1993 when DCC first came out. And I got lens because they had a nice knobby throttle at the time. And then I wanted to go wireless around 2000, so that was like 7 years later. And the only company that was really doing wireless at the time was EasyDCC, so I went with EasyDCC. Went with them for another 7 years. So about 2007, 2008, I reached the point that enough of the layout was operational that I had the need for lots of throttles. And you could only do 8 throttles on EasyDCC before you were kind of maxed out. So I looked at NCE because they could do like 40 some throttles. Okay. And so I went with them and haven't looked back. In fact, here's the irony. EasyDCC, all of these systems really, Lens, EasyDCC, NCE, the ones I've used, they're all great systems. So what I did is I sold off my EasyDCC system, all my throttles, sold all of that, and I made enough off of that basically for another $200 I completely upgraded to NCE.
That's
my
absolutely
whole lap.
awesome.
My whole lap. So
Cool story, Joe. With 7 minutes to go tonight, guys, I want to tell you the lineup for the What's Neat This Week July video, which Joe just released at Model Road Hobbyist Magazine, the most popular video that he has on his website. And this is the winner this time. This is a home run. We've got our very own Michelle Kempema. She does that incredible interview out there at Gulliver's Gate, that museum.
That place is so awesome.
Oh, my
I gotta
God.
go. Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell you how great it is. You see the B-roll last week, the airports and
Just
all the other
watch it,
stuff.
yeah.
There are 25 different cities on 5 continents. It's an absolutely amazing layout out there in Times Square. And that's in the lineup for the July video. We've also got drone footage from Stephen M. Conroy. And there's another guy out there making power cars. So there's 2 manufacturers out there doing it. I saw him last week when we were out there. And also George Bogatuk and Daniel Coombs running camera. Daniel, explain the various ways to consist your trains using the any DCC system for any system. But it's simple, basic, or advanced consisting. And y'all know I like it basic, where all my engines are number 3. I know, shake your head. That's awesome. Now, sitting at the table with us tonight, we've got Ray Brown. Did I get it right?
That's right.
Rock and roll. Thank you coming to the What's Neat show. And you've got an incredible model that we're going to show B-roll of this. Tell us what this rotary dump is. What is this?
Well, it's the basic Walthers rotary coal unloader. I think it's also used for paper mills. And what I did is I took the Walthers model, and I really wanted to modify it to make it very operable. So that meant modifying the clamps. I used RC plane servo motors to drive the clamps instead of just the springs that come with the clips, and just powered them with some DPT switches and AA batteries. And the whole mechanism to roll the dumper over, I used an old Bachmann diesel I had laying around that had thrown some gears and just repurposed the motor. 3D printed a whole pulley set, used skateboard bearings and rubber bands for a 1 to 250 gear reduction.
Wow, that's why it runs so smooth.
That's right.
What it comes down to is I get a very slow prototypical rollover.
Very nice.
And it's got lots of torque. So when I put a live coal load in there, it dumps it over, no problem. So that's really all there is to it. And it worked out to be just the right length to take 2 of the USRA 50-ton 2-bay hoppers, which is what I predominantly run.
Nice.
Now this fits into your layout, right?
Absolutely. So it's a modular piece that fits into my layout. I'm probably going to be building another layout I'm looking at moving here in the near future.
Yeah.
And this will get modeled into my Port of Conneaut, Ohio scene. And my goal is to have this dump directly into a Great Lakes freighter.
Right.
Very nice.
Nice. Awesome. And Mike, you brought some cards with you tonight. Tell us what you got on the table.
It's just something I'm trying to get done before the RPM.
Good job,
I haven't been doing much modeling lately because we've been traveling and doing these shows. So it and plus I spend time on Facebook modeling groups too. So that's a big time sink. Anyway, that's that's an auto rack I built a long time ago, an early Whitehead and Kales, kind of the same kind of rack as Athern's model, only this is an earlier version with thicker posts. And I tried to model the traffic that I saw coming out of the St. Louis area. They had a GM light truck plant in the same plant that they built Corvettes, and there all kinds of light trucks were mixed on auto racks. A lot of times with Corvettes mixed in, but I haven't been able to find a 78 or 79 Corvette yet. One of these days I will. So I'm working on several of these racks with the chassis cabs and the small step van from Greg Dixon, and then some modified Trident models. So that's what I got going on.
Boy, I want to go back to Ray Brown, because you know what? That thing you showed us, that rotary, when you get that worked into your layout, you should snap a few photographs and write a piece on it and send it to Joe. Send it to Model Road Hobbyist Magazine and get your work published, because that's an absolutely beautiful work of art. Where did you come from tonight to be here?
Greenville, South Carolina.
Man, 700 miles.
700 miles.
Wow.
Oh my God, let's light him a bonfire tonight. Rock and roll, man. That's dedication. You have a passion for the best hobby in the world.
And we've
I
had
do.
his stuff on before, too.
I love
the
it.
Berkshire.
The Bessemer and Lake Erie 210-4.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We showed off that locomotive. I
You're
saw it on the
right.
other side of the basement.
It's sitting on your layout right now.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to go around the table because we're at 28 minutes. Joe Fugate, anything out there you want to say?
Just also not only Model Railroad Hobbyists, but check out our Running Extra magazine. We're getting lots of great feedback. People are loving it. It's the ad-free magazine that's like $2.99 an issue or $20 a year. So yeah, make sure and check that out too.
That's awesome. Joshua, anything else, brother?
I say if you want any of our shirts or apparel, everyone needs a coffee mug. Go to our website, what'sneatthisweek.com, and check us out. All the links are on there to Teespring and all of our other stuff, including Micromart.
That's awesome. Man, I love this fan blowing us tonight. This is
Yeah, that's
perfect.
good.
I mean, this is great. Guys, this is the best hobby in the world, and we're going to close out show number 81. Tune in next week when we are at the NMRA Nationals live with John Abaticola and Michelle Kempema. That should be a fun show to produce.
It
Joe,
always is.
get yourself in there. You can do one of those,
Okay,
those
I'll do
selfies.
that.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Bomb? You could bomb the video. You can just
There you
jump
go.
right in the background.
Photo bomb.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, you guys. This is
Yeah.
the best hobby in the world. This show is all about you and showing you what's new every week in the greatest hobby in the world, model railroading. So with that, let's close out this What's Neat This Week, number 81. Let's go run some trains, guys.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.